Hey Hochis, moving forward together. We, the Comox people, envision a prosperous and healthy nation in which we exercise our rights and title throughout our territory, honoring our people, lands, waters, cultures, and languages. Over the past few decades, Comox has been working towards completing our constitution and treaty in order to expand our land base and maximize our inherent right to self-government. Our Comox Kaimuk have always known who we are, and together we will build an inclusive future for generations to come. Through engagement, our people have defined the criteria for membership under treaty. Now we need to begin the process of enrollment. To get there, we must first work through the necessary steps, developing a Comox Enrollment Register that will require a formal application process. The Comox Enrollment Register will be owned and managed by the Comox First Nation, unlike the current Indian Act band list, which is defined and dictated by the Indian Act.
As outlined in the Comox Treaty, eligible members will need to enroll to vote on both the Constitution and Treaty. Upon effective date of the treaty, Comox members will be able to participate in elections, be entitled to receive treaty benefits, exercise their treaty rights, attend the KPA, and benefit from other rights and freedoms described in the Comox Constitution.
The Comox Treaty describes who is eligible to enroll, to vote, and to be a member, as well as the steps involved in the enrollment process. Under the Comox Treaty, an individual is eligible to enroll if they fall under any of the following categories. If they have ancestry, either through matrilineal or patrilineal descent. If they are a band member listed or entitled to be listed under the Indian Act as of the day before the effective date. If they were adopted under a law recognized in Canada, including a Comox law, by an individual eligible to be enrolled, or a descendant of those eligible under the criteria. After the effective date, if Comox chooses, an individual outside of the criteria may be accepted according to a community acceptance process set out in a Comox law.
In Canada, an individual can only belong to one First Nation or treaty. If an individual otherwise meets the criteria but belongs to another nation, they must follow the steps set out by the Enrollment Committee to remove themselves from the other nation and enroll to vote on the Comox Constitution and Treaty and to become a Comox member. After the effective date, Comox membership cards will be issued to Comox members by the Comox government. The Comox membership cards will be different from Indian status cards. Status Indians will keep their status cards. Prior to the vote, Comox will establish the Enrollment Committee to carry out the procedures of the Eligibility and Enrollment Chapter. Once the Eligibility and Enrollment Coordinator receives an application, the Enrollment Committee will meet to review and determine if an individual fits the criteria. Once applications have been reviewed, the applicant will receive in writing whether their application has been approved, denied, or if any additional information is required from them. It is the responsibility of the E&E coordinator to ensure that all eligible individuals understand the steps and procedures involved in the process. If an application is denied, the individual can contact the Enrollment Appeal Board for review. The Appeal Board will be comprised of 2 members appointed by Comox and 1 appointed by Canada. Upon effective date, the enrollment process will become the responsibility of the Comox government and administration. Comox will form a ratification committee with representatives from Comox, BC, and Canada. Once formed, the ratification committee will establish and publish its procedures for ratifying the Comox Treaty and the Constitution. Comox members will vote on the Constitution before the treaty. To ratify the Comox Constitution, 50% plus 1 of eligible voters will need to participate in the vote, and 50% plus 1 of those voters will need to vote yes. Once finalized and the treaty is ready to be voted on, the treaty will be initialed by the chief negotiators. Once initialed, it will be time for Comox members to vote on the Comox Treaty. The ratification of the treaty will require 50% plus 1 of eligible voters to participate in the vote and 50% plus 1 of those voters to vote yes. Voters must be 18 years of age to vote on both the treaty and the Constitution. The Comox Treaty is ratified by BC when it is authorized by the provincial legislature and signed by a minister, and by Canada when it is authorized by Parliament and signed by a minister.
When the Comox Constitution and Treaty are ratified, Comox people will no longer live under the constraints that the Indian Act has placed on our membership. You can find more information on our website and through podcasts, brochures, and summaries, or you can visit our treaty office. Please take the time to learn as much as you can about the Comox Constitution and Treaty. This is a huge opportunity for our nation and our people. It's time to define who we are and how we want to govern ourselves.